what concerns do you have about your insurance, right? And get that a whole conversation going, because it is changing. I know that from my business. It's sort of like it, the big issue is we talked about the other week. What insurance does a coach need? What's covered? What is today's factors? I think that's really important at the moment, just because everything is changing day by day. You could actually even open that up. We need that go-to shop in a sense, and maybe not just for coaches, Mark. Maybe we have a go-to shop for volunteers, a go-to shop for presidents, a go-to shop for sponsorship, that type of things, so they don't have to start looking around.
I think that insurance one is definitely a big topic.
I think if we look at the bigger picture, what I'm finding here in Canada is from a coaching perspective, not just for swimming, from a coaching perspective for all sports. I think the national governing bodies have a different view. The national governing bodies have insurance to look after their members, their own boards and their club boards. And the coaches, I feel sometimes that issue gets fall through the crack. Who covers the coaches? But then when you look at insurance, when you start to look for insurance, is what do I need insurance for? And the basic stuff is that, falling on the deck or somebody getting injured in your program or coaching. And then you come down to who's responsible at that time. Is it the coach? Is it the pool manager? Is it the pool setup? All those things that have come up these last 6 months or 5 years, and they keep popping up. Now the difference is, no, you're being taken to court for this. And our insurance doesn't cover you for those things. And I actually feel that we're just out there, and all I've been trying to do with our coaches associations here, and I know it's time consuming, is ask the questions. What do we have now? What am I covered for? What am I not covered for? And that's a general question for all sports, like,
yes,
can I drive to the pool? Am I covered? Can I work 40 or 50 hours at a swim meet and drive home? Is my car still covered? Those are basic insurance questions, and we don't ask until the problem happens, right? Like, hey, I just got a bump, right? Or the weather was turned back. I have to go over 2 mountain ranges here, both sides of me, right? So between November and March, or even April, the weather is bad, and I'm going, am I covered to be driving? Now, we've had this discussion on our coaches here, is that don't drive after you've done 40 hours, because some insurance companies will say you have worked too many hours in the last 3 days, right? Your insurance is not covered. Just the same as the bus drivers. Bus drivers used to take the team to a town, this as well as I do, and then they would do some, jobs while they were there, and then take you back. And all of a sudden that got stopped, and going, hey, no, you can't do that. You're on call 24 hours a day. So it's all those things. And we really need, you and I, you could do it on your end. I could do it on my end, and just I can contact my local insurance guy that looks after our business and say, if you looked at my insurance for my business, what would you suggest to me I need?
Let's do that, because I know that there's water polo team insurance, and there's NISCA, the National Interscholastic Coaches have a membership, and then that covers you. I think it's a really good policy. We always have to get letters of insurance, so I think that should be its own category. Yep. That's almost if I'm looking for cute little titles, it's sort of like cover your ass insurance talk.
Things that you need, right? Keep things that you need, because we're in a different format now. We know that, right? Now it's sort of like, it's okay. You know, my kid doesn't sometimes listen and he bumped in or he did this. It's fine. It's not a problem. Now we don't have that type of parent. We have, here's a lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
You didn't look after my kid, or I don't think you did the best job of duty of care. And that duty of care is only three little words or whatever, but it means so much and it changes. And I've always thought it's better maybe to have more insurance than less insurance, because all of a sudden, after the accident happens or after the complaint comes in, it is hard to get. Nobody will give you insurance to go back. It's going, did you have it, right? And what I found when I was in charge of trying to do it here, the biggest problem we had to bring the rates down to get all the things that swimming coaches need, we don't have enough numbers. Somehow, somebody's got to be really creative and talk. Maybe we do it on a Zoom. We talk to water polo, synchro, and everything, and have an open discussion about that, right? About insurance. What do you think we need? And then we have to go, hey, have we all pooled our resources and our people and our bodies? We probably could get a very good package, a really good package, right? You guys need it more than us. We have private healthcare and we have national healthcare. But when it comes down to insurance, it's going, okay, these guys will only cover so much. These guys will only cover so much. Okay, well, maybe we have to pick it up. We pick up that extra little things that we need, right? But I would think all coaches are in the same boat, irrespective of what they're coaching.
I'm thinking, monthly conversation, a valuable service. Save those calls, put them into an archive, and then any big highlights we could put under the podcast, or we could send out in emails. But we should, begin to have those conversations about insurance. Ignorance isn't the answer, as far as putting your head in the sand and just hoping nothing happens. So let's be proactive on our insurance conversations. And then some of the big things that you're confronting or will also apply to other sports and things as well. I think intellectual property, inventions and such are a different topic from insurance.
Yeah.
Insurance is just sort of it's a CYA. Importance. Maybe wouldn't use a swear word, but CYA.
That's okay. No, it's really important. I remember I took a course in the UK when I was over this last time, and it was about sport and law, right? And it was very good. A lawyer comes in and says that this is what you're covered for, this is what you're not covered for, right? And one of the basic questions was, if somebody broke into a school, or teenagers did, and they walked on the roof, right, and they fell through the roof and got injured, if there was no sign, and there was a general one, if there was no sign saying, fragile roof, it opens a whole bundle of different accountabilities and claims and everything else. So we took that same question into sport. And I said, well, where do we stand? And they said, Barry, give me an example. And while I was there, New Zealand rugby changed the rules of scrummage. Yeah, banging heads, breaking necks, injuries from that. They changed the rules while I was there, and they posted it. And I said, we still haven't changed the rules here in the UK. And the lawyer came back, or the guy doing the course says, Barry, it's on the issue that the laws of the country are what sticks by it. I said, but now we have the internet, and like you and I are talking about Pacific problems and concerns that we have. And I go, well, I know that New Zealand's ahead of us by about a year or 2 years, right? If I was a rugby coach and I went to court because I hadn't changed, I'm sure somebody would bring up that. Did you know that New Zealand and Australia had already found those things out, right? And I'm going, then I'm stuck in limbo. You didn't know. Why did you not know, Mr. Healy? This is posted. Are you not up to date with good practice? And, we always have this word about good practice. And you go, is good practice good enough, right? But that was the case. It's the same. We go back. It's the same that we can't dive in warm-ups now. But all of a sudden, we have the same issue when we're at the bigger meets and we have a pace lane and we have a para lane and we have all those, and everybody starts to jam into the middle, still pushing, still wanting to get warmed up properly. And all of a sudden, I have no control of how many kids are in that lane, right? We now have 60 in a lane. About an hour ago, I only had 20 in that lane. So it's all those things. And for young coaches and for clubs and for meet managers, then the insurance becomes, hey, we can't do that. We have to look at a different way of doing it. It was okay 10 years ago.
Well, and even getting volunteer timers to come out of the stands to time.
Yes.
Now, are they covered or not covered, or do they have to be, USA Swimming members?
Yes, that's a great one.
Yeah, and then there's also that safe sport thing where it's not okay to give the kid that's stranded at the pool a ride home, in your private car.
Yeah.
Is it safer to have them stay at the pool for 3 hours or, so.
Or Mark, take it one step further. Do you have to stay with that athlete for 3 hours? Right? Is it your responsibility? Because all of a sudden we're not supposed to be one-on-one, right? So it's another issue. And you go, hey, I'll call your mom. I'll stay till your mom gets here. But I've been in that situation. Mom shows up 2 hours or dad shows up 2 hours later and go, sorry, I had to finish work.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just okay if you get it in writing, but now, Johnny's here at the pool. What you want to fax it to me? The letter to give me permission to take him over to his aunt or uncle's home or something. Yeah, so it gets dicey. So I think that's a very important long-term issue, and the more we could shine a light on it, I think that'd be better. And let's have a meeting on that every month. And then you can start figuring out who we'll create a little online community where people can ask questions and raise issues. Make sure that people know that we're not lawyers and giving out legal advice, but these are some of the questions that should percolate in our operations. That's a big can of worms.
Here is the official announcement. As part of the Heavy or Not podcast community, along with the International Swim Coaches Association and BC Canada's youcanswim.org with Barry Healy, everyone is invited to monthly CYA conference calls. Details are posted at lap.red. Sign up for the announcement list, engage in the discussions, ask your questions in advance, suggest guest experts, including yourself, share your stories, both the heavy ones and not so heavy. Subscribe to this podcast too and keep listening with your favorite podcast feed. Highlights of the CYA conference calls might even be shared in future episodes of this Heavy or Not podcast. Opt in at lap.red. Additional monthly calls on different topics with equally troubling names are also happening.
Today, we're looking at building a successful swim team and, coaching philosophy too. Our listener wants a quick but thorough understanding of the main principles.
Yeah, and we've got a really great source for this. It's excerpts from The Coach's Starter Guide by Carl Hamouche and Michael Peterson.
And their backgrounds are pretty relevant here, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Carl, he brings this interesting blend, exercise science, medicine, and he was a competitive swimmer himself, so he sees it from multiple angles.
That's a unique mix in Michael Peterson.
Yeah, his coaching cred is, top-notch. Coached Olympic medalist Missy Franklin for one, but also built really successful age group programs. So he gets the elite and the developmental side.
Perfect. So they've seen it all, basically, high level down to the foundations. Why focus so much on team and culture? Isn't swimming mostly individual?
Well, that's what's interesting. They argue it's fundamental. You need swimmers, coaches, and parents all kind of operating at their best for the whole thing to really work. And their central theme is building a team that everyone wants to be on, creating that kind of positive magnetic environment.
So it's about having that bigger purpose beyond just your own times.
Precisely. And their definition of a team really captures that. It's one person's success is everyone's joy. One person's failure is everyone's fault.
That's intense. Shared joy, shared fault.
It really emphasizes that collective spirit, that shared responsibility. You're all in it together.
They give other definitions too, don't they? Like trust.
Trust, all for one, common goal, the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. all pointing to that idea that it's about connection and shared purpose.
And you can't just say that once, right? They emphasize communicating it constantly.
Constantly, yeah. It has to be more than just a slogan on a t-shirt. It needs to be like woven into everything the team does. Swimmers, coaches, parents, everyone needs to live it. Maybe even put up visual reminders.
Moving away from just focusing on swimming fast towards character development.
They even break down the factors influencing performance,
Yeah.
and it's eye-opening.
What do they say?
They estimate genetics is like 50%. Huge. Personality and upbringing, another 25%.
Wow, so that's 75% already.
Right. Which leaves, coaching and training at maybe 15% and facilities or opportunities at 10%.
So coaches actually have less direct control over pure results than you might think.
Which is exactly why they argue for focusing on character. Winning is not a result. Winning is a process driven by character, that internal guide. And they break character down into two types. Performance skills.
Like discipline, resilience, that sort of thing.
Yeah, the stuff that makes you a better athlete.
Yeah.
And then moral skills, honesty, respect, teamwork, the things that make you a good person.
And the idea is focus on the moral skills, develop great kids first.
Yeah, and the performance stuff often follows. It's a long-term view.
So less focus on did I win?
Yeah.
And more on the process questions like what did I do well and why?
Exactly. And what can I do better and how? It's about that continuous loop of reflection and improvement, win or lose.
They also mentioned something called satisfaction of search. What's that about?
It's that feeling of, maybe complacency. When you hit a big goal, sometimes the drive dips. Strong character, they argue, helps you push past that. Keep searching for improvement, even after success. Goals are important, sure, but as stepping stones, not the final destination.
I liked their restaurant analogy. Food's okay, but the culture, the service, the vibe is amazing, so you keep going back.
It makes that abstract culture idea feel really concrete. Like swimmers want to be there for the whole experience, not just for the fast times.
Okay, so culture is key. Now, how do you make it work practically? They talk about defining roles, right? Coach, swimmer, parent.
Absolutely crucial. Clear job descriptions, they call it. Prevents conflict, builds that good culture. Everyone understands their part. Continuous learning is key.
Wow, okay. That covers a ton of ground. From the absolute basics of team culture to the specifics of workout cycles and dry land.
It really is a comprehensive guide, even in these excerpts. It hits everything. The why of culture and character, the who of roles, the how of meets and organization, the nuances of coaching styles, and the what of teaching strokes and planning training.
It definitely leaves you thinking, that emphasis on culture, character, clear roles, the whole process. It feels like it could apply way beyond swimming.
Which leads to a final thought for you, the listener. Considering this heavy emphasis on character driving results, what other fields, maybe business, education, even other sports, do you think could benefit most from shifting to a similar long-term people-first approach, rather than just chasing the next quarterly target or win?
That's a great question to ponder. Definitely food for thought. If you found this interesting, the full Coach's Starter Guide has even more detail. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.